Okay. So, I'm starting this episode off a little weird. I wanted to ask you a question though, because I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the show, and I think it's super interesting. Because I literally just thought about it the other day, and I was like, oh shit, I would like to know this information.
Okay.
If you had to pick one, like, favorite, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm not positive. If you had to pick one, like, favorite superhero of all time, like, which would it be? Like literally, you have to pick one.
Yeah, probably the Flash.
The Flash. Okay, I was actually a little off then. I knew it was either gonna be the Flash. I might even be wrong. If I'm this wrong, I'll be upset at myself. But I want to say Spider-Man. Like, is it high contender?
Yeah, obviously. Well,
Okay.
Spider-Man I would say Batman, of course, has had a resurgence like this whole last decade. And Batman's always been pretty big, but I would say that Spider-Man has probably always been the biggest superhero just in general. And Spider-Man. Yeah, I cannot. I mean, I can tell you how into Spider-Man I was. I like made a Spider-Man costume for myself.
Yeah, Spider-Man's great.
I would wear it under my clothes.
I remember the old fucking cartoon.
When I was in like third grade.
The original cartoon with the theme song, the Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh! If we're talking Spider-Man cartoon, so obviously we both love like the '90s one. Mm-hmm. That one's the best.
Mm.
But the absolute maybe better is
I think I know
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which is on Disney Plus. It's incredible. It's called Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. It's after the original Spider-Man cartoon, and it follows Spider-Man and his two roommates, who are Iceman and Firestorm, which are both like X-Men, but not in the show. And it's just phenomenal.
I know this show. Okay, I had to look it up to make sure I knew.
I'm gonna play the. Oh boy, it's this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I see what. Yep. I thought you were talking about a different show actually, but this is great. I do remember this. But you know what I thought you were talking about? Remember the Spider-Man show? We've talked about this before, but you know the Spider-Man show? It came out definitely after, and it was the one where it was like the one that with more modern animation. I think it was the first one with more modern animation, and it featured like Kingpin was like the main like bad guy.
Yeah, that's the one. That's like the '90s one, right?
Is that the '90s one? I thought the '90s one. Hold on.
It's the one with the theme song that's like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. Oh my god, the one. Okay, so we were on the same page. I was getting my timelines mixed up. I thought the '90s one was the one where it's like old fashioned. It's like Spider-Man.
What?
That's
from like the '60s.
The '60s.
Hey, you're smoking too much dope, man.
The fucking '60s. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm listening to the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends intro right now.
Oh no.
It's just classic. It's just '60s music.
But I remember the main episode, and we've definitely talked about this, but the main episode I remember from the '90s Spider-Man is the one. Well, one of them was the Hobgoblin episode, but the other one is the other one is the one where the Daredevil crossover. That's
yeah.
That's like
the best one,
that's like top 10. That's top 10 material right there.
Sins of the Father, I think, is the name of that 2-part episode.
It's so good. Oh my god. Dude, also, and we've talked about this too, but like the old Batman show. I know there's so many Batman shows, but the one
like the Adam West one.
No, well, I love that, but the one I was gonna say.
Batman the animated series.
No, the one I was gonna say is the obscure one.
Batman.
The obscure one, the one with the weird Joker, the Joker that's like kind of more Batman. Like a monkey. Yeah. That one was like really weird, but I really liked how like I don't know. I think it aged really well in how like different it is.
I can see that.
But anyhow, um, side tangents aside, welcome to Film Juice. Show where we talk about superheroes, which we will be talking about more in a little bit, and movies and entertainment, news, all the like. I'm your host, Joe Dorado.
And I'm Andrew Canada, the subsequent host of the what you're listening to right now.
Yes. And we got quite a show. We got quite a show for everyone today. Obviously we took a week off because of Thanksgiving. I don't think. Yeah, so we took a week off because of Thanksgiving, so you're going to be getting this probably like a week or two after Thanksgiving. And yeah, we're in the Christmas season. That being said, this is the first, I'd want to say, holiday special for Film Juice. Like, you know.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. I mean, we did Halloween, but this is the first like Christmas holiday like special that we're doing. So, we got two Christmas movies. A classic and a newer one. And yeah, we'll get into those later. But first, I'm very excited to talk about those. But first, we have movie news. There's a lot that's happened in these 2 weeks. I feel like whenever we report the news every week, when we're like on a roll and we don't miss any weeks, I feel like we like have barely any movie news to talk about. And then we take 1 week off, and that's the week that has all of the fucking movie news.
Well,
like,
it adds up, you know.
Holy
it's
shit!
It's just, yeah, some big events.
Yeah. The first thing I want to talk about, which is pretty like cool, pretty great. So, formerly actor Elliot Page came out as transgender man. So that's great. It's so he made the announcement on Twitter and all other social medias, and I mean it what's it called? It got well received, you know, other than by people who suck. But everyone else, like, I don't think there's any reason to be upset about it. So, but I think it's cool. And yeah, I think it's great that, like, he, like, felt like he could finally share that. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's going to be very interesting to see how they work it into, how they work the change into, the Umbrella Academy, which I think is like the biggest it's not like a worry. It's the biggest question mark, I guess, because there are some news outlets saying that obviously the showrunners are super supportive and Gerard Way is like, you know, he's a very progressive individual. So so the worry isn't really there, but there's conflicting news outlets saying different things. So, for example, none of this is confirmed, but I saw a thing. I don't know I should probably know the source, but I saw an article come out and it said that basically it reported that the Umbrella Academy like isn't changing anything. So, and Elliot Page, and if this happened, obviously Elliot Page would be on board, and that's what the article was saying. And then I saw other things saying that wasn't happening. So I don't know. I don't think anyone knows right now, but it's very interesting because I've heard people in the community not be pleased about the idea of nothing changing. But I also have heard like that it's very interesting. I think it's a very tricky scenario there. But it's gonna be very interesting to see how they proceed. I don't know. What do you think about, like, I know you haven't even seen the Umbrella Academy. I mean, I haven't
seen that show.
Mm.
But so So his character on the show is a woman.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, he can probably play a woman just fine.
No, well,
So,
yeah.
right?
Well, so this is the whole thing. So this is the whole thing. For me, I was like, where I stand on it is it's his choice if he wants to, like, as long as he's not being strong-armed into doing anything. I don't think it's like,
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
no, and I don't think so either.
Dude.
I don't think so either. So I think, like, as long as it's, and obviously we don't know because I've just seen like a couple, and I don't even think it's like, obviously none of this is official, but whatever happens, as long as like Elliot Page decides that, I don't think it like really matters. Like, as long as like Elliot Page is the decider and he is happy with whatever happens, I think that's fine. There's people like, and this is stupid to say, but there's some like fucking celebrities or people in the news that are like, you know, being dicks about it. That's just how it goes. Like,
those aren't real people, Joe.
Ben Shapiro.
That guy's doing his own thing. He's always up to something.
He really is. But anyway, that's but yeah, so that's that. Obviously we don't know enough. We don't know enough about any of it right now, but yeah. Cool. I don't want it to be on a negative note or anything. I think it's great, and yeah, so that's pretty cool. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. But I see what you're saying. You don't think there's like it doesn't matter. Like, there's not like a huge As long as everything works out for Elliot, I don't care. So there we go. Anyhow, let's move on to what else do we got? We got some other crazy shit too.
Boy, okay. Let's talk about this next. So, the Godfather trilogy is obviously one of the most famous of all time. And the first two are some of people's favorite movies. I mean, the first one's obviously unreal. Second one's excellent. The third one, a lot of people are pretty hot and cold on it. In fact, a lot of people don't like it. So, apparently, Francis Ford Coppola has been working on a new cut of that movie, and it's going to be released pretty soon. And the ending, I don't know all the changes. All I know is the ending is going to be completely different. I don't want to spoil anything exactly because, just because. But, yeah, apparently they're changing the whole thing. And that's big news because this is a timeless trilogy, no matter what people think about the third one. This is a trilogy that a lot of, if you're naming great trilogies, a lot of people will say, Star Wars, the Godfather movies, Back to the Future, whatever. But this trilogy is in the conversation, regardless of how you feel about the third one. Without a doubt. And to make such drastic changes, which it sounds like it's going to be, to a movie like this so many years after the fact as well, that's a pretty big deal.
It is. It's weird. I have never seen I don't think I've ever seen it. At least if I have seen it, I don't remember any of it, so it doesn't matter either way. But I don't think I've ever seen The Godfather Part 3. I've seen the first one. I think I've seen we were talking about this before the show, but I think I've seen the second one. It's been years. Long time. It's strange. I feel like it's becoming a fad almost to release a new cut of something that's come out.
Interesting. What do you mean?
Like
some other examples.
Well, obviously we got Justice League.
Right. Gotcha.
We got Justice League. We have, it sounds funny because, they're both Zack Snyder, but the Batman v Superman, that was a huge thing. With that cut, the Blade Runner. Look, this is older, but this is a thing that's been going on for a long time. Obviously, with Blade Runner, like the first Blade Runner, that has I think 5 different cuts. So like,
Yeah.
it's
All the Star Wars movies as well.
Yep, Star Wars. Like, so there's like a lot of I'm not saying this is a new thing that happens, but it's definitely it's interesting because I think it's becoming more of a I don't know how to explain it. With older cuts like Blade Runner, for example, with the director cut of Blade Runner. Like, yes, it changes the movie, but like I feel like it wasn't as big of a thing. Maybe it was when it came out, but like I don't know how to explain it. I don't think it's being marketed the same way, I guess. I feel like now it's being marketed as like a new package and like a new
Like a whole different movie.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah. And I think that's the big difference. And it's interesting because now that just happened with Justice League, and now that's happening with this movie. I know that's only two examples, but we're like, it's starting. I don't know. It's a little weird. I wish I knew more about The Godfather 3, to put more of like, maybe I'd have more like background info on it, but I don't know. I'm fine. Like, I don't care. Like, if it makes the movie better, it's great. But I'm also like, as someone who hasn't seen The Godfather 3 and as someone who isn't super invested in that series, I'm definitely a little skeptical of whether this is just going to be a cash grab sort of thing, or if this is going to be an actual.
I don't know.
An actual
Maybe.
thing, like good thing for the.
Because it's been so long since the movie actually came out, and it's been heavily criticized since that point. So why now? Why choose to release this edited version now? Why get working on that? And that's a good point. Maybe it is because there's been so much hype around the Snyder cut and stuff. However, I mean, this is something that is being spearheaded by Francis Ford Coppola. So it reminds me more of the changes to that Lucas made to the original trilogy and those re-releases, because it's like a director going back, and this is what it seems like, making changes that they wish they could have to improve it. Whereas the Snyder cut is obviously just like he created this whole story, and then it was completely different than what the studio ended up putting out.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, so I don't know. I think that it's just kind of a double-edged sword. I'm interested to see what the hardcore Godfather fans are how they're going to feel about it.
It's gonna be interesting
because I think it could definitely be one of those situations where it's like, hey, you guys got mad because it was this way, so I changed it for you. And then they'll be mad that you changed it. It could definitely be one of those.
You can't please everyone, right? That's just how it is. It's going to happen with the Justice League movie, man. That's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, no matter...
Yeah, but the Justice League movie, I think that a very specific group of people are going to want to watch that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the contrarians in that movie, it's going to be tough to pick out the people who are being just contrarian, and the people that maybe actually have an original thought on why they dislike it.
Oh no, I know. I'm not saying it's going to be valid, and who knows? We'll see. Like when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're no matter what, like that's just how it goes nowadays. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It really will be interesting. Yeah, I haven't watched a mob movie in a while. I think the last mob movie I watched was the one we watched for Film Juice, The Departed. It was like the second episode or the third episode of the podcast. I think it's the last mob movie I watched. Cause I don't know. I really have to be in the mood. I really have to be in that mood.
The Departed, I don't know if that's really a mob movie, just because it focuses so much on.
You're right. It's
like the detectives as well.
yeah,
And when you think about mob movies in general, when you think about Goodfellas and The Godfather,
yeah. You're right.
like
That's true.
focused on the mob the whole time, and those are
Hmm.
the characters that you're following.
The one I haven't seen that I heard so many good things about, and I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. I mean, I know why I haven't watched it yet because it's a big time commitment, but I really need to sit down and just watch it. The Irishman. I gotta watch that movie. That's like the movie that like I heard it. I heard a lot of great things about it, so I definitely want to check that movie out. That's a good mob movie I heard though. So, but anyhow, so the next thing in movie news, we got I guess this is the well, God, we have two options to talk about here. I guess let's save the thing that just let's save the Marvel stuff for last because
Oh, okay.
that's just we just found out about one of the things
Right.
but so WB, while we're on the subject kind of like you know the Snyder cut and stuff, HBO Max, which WB like, am I getting this right? WB like owns like HBO Max.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of the movies that Warner Brothers kind of has rights over, they made the decision to release all of the movies that got delayed and are just coming out in theaters on time. All of those films, when they get released in theaters, will also be released on HBO Max for free, no additional charge, which is a big deal, and it'll be released at the same time. So, and the list is crazy. I don't know if you have the list pulled up. I should pull the list up.
It's everything.
It's
everything.
it's
in Matrix 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman is going to be the first one, which they announced that it was going to happen with Wonder Woman before they announced that it was going to happen with everything else.
Yep.
So yeah, Matrix 4, Dune,
Mm-hmm.
In the Heights, The Many Saints of Newark, which I guess is a Sopranos prequel, Suicide Squad,
Tom and Jerry.
Yep.
Godzilla
versus King Kong, Mortal Kombat, Those Who Wish Me Dead, which I guess is an Angelina Jolie movie,
Space
the
Jam.
new Conjuring movie, and Space Jam, and the new Space Jam movie.
Mm-hmm. Mortal Kombat too. The new Mortal
I said that
Kombat.
one.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
It's Jesus.
Joking.
Did you say Dune too?
I've said them all.
Okay, great. It's crazy, dude. It's nuts. It's so. This is like what we've been talking about. I mean, this is huge. This is we've been talking about this since the beginning of the pandemic, months ago. We've been talking about the possibility of this happening and when this would happen and how this would change like the scene of like the movie scene and the production of these the I don't know what I'm trying to say, the landscape of movies and theaters and stuff. So I mean, I think I've said this before, but I'm a big fan. Now I love going to. I don't want like I don't want to make it come off like I don't like going to the theater. I love going to the theater. Going to the theater is fucking incredible. It's like top 3 things that I miss about like before pandemic. Like top 3 easily. Maybe this top 2, maybe top 1. I don't know, but it's in there. And so I really miss going to the theater. It's such a good experience, and there's no replicating it. So, but I'm not gonna be naive about it and act like that this is something that like theaters, not only that theaters can survive without adapting, but also that like this is just this is where it was always going. There is no world where this wasn't going to happen. This was always gonna happen some way, shape, or form because that's just where we're going with streaming. And it's gonna happen with cable too. Like it's gonna take longer for stuff like that, but it's gonna happen. And we're obviously I think the pandemic sped things up a bit, but we're just seeing like where things were going a little quicker than I think people expected. And obviously people aren't too thrilled about it, especially some movie execs. But this is the thing. At the end of the day, this is not going to change anything. Money wise, this isn't going to change shit for them. Like I don't think this is going to negatively impact them money wise that much. I really don't. I think they're probably blowing it a bit out of proportion in that regard, but at the same time, on the other hand, the only thing where I would be concerned is with the survivability of theaters, right? Because most people, other than me and you, and like other than me and you and like people like us who like enjoy going to the theater, we're a part of a small crowd. Like there's in the grand scheme of things, I think most people would prefer to just stream something. I think 9 times out of 10, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but most times the normal moviegoer would prefer just to watch it on their TV at home. And I think that's just how it is, because it's all about convenience. And I'm not saying that's best, but that's just how it is. So, movie theaters are gonna have to just adapt, and you know, I'm worried about them surviving, but I think they're gonna adapt. I'm not worried about, like, as long as they adapt and they change into more of a luxury thing, I think that's how it's gonna go.
Interesting.
I think that's what's gonna happen. I think they're just gonna make movie theaters a lot nicer and more expensive, and that's what they're gonna do. It's gonna be more of an experience.
Yeah. It's gonna be like an outing to go. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
I think that's my prediction for how.
And if that doesn't work, then I think they'll just be a bunch of independent theaters.
Yep, I agree.
Sorry,
I know I was talking
all I know is excuse me. All I know is that I'm not gonna watch Dune on my TV.
Okay.
I can't do it. I have to go see Dune in the theater.
Yeah.
But a lot of these other movies, I mean, you're right. If I wasn't in the mood to go to the theater, I'd have no problem watching them.
Yep.
Like even Space Jam, which is one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's like a movie.
I can see myself kind of falling into watching that at home.
Yep. Same.
I think it'd be cool to go and see it, but who knows?
Yeah.
And I think you make a great point that this is just inevitable, and it's the way that the pandemic has just sped it up so much. Mm-hmm. I just read this quote from Christopher Nolan. Mm-hmm. It said, some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service.
Oh my God.
Which I think is kind of a funny quote. And I get it from his perspective just because, I mean, Christopher Nolan especially is one of those filmmakers that's like very hard-headed, and that's one of the reasons his movies are so good.
David Lynch.
But it's also the reason why he's obviously so reluctant to accept this big of a change. And for better or for worse, yada yada yada. I don't know if that's really the way we could look at it anymore. I think it's not for better or for worse. It just is the way that things are turning out. Maybe. But but as long as there's still the option to go to the theater, I mean, that's still like that's cool with me.
Yeah.
And I get it. I like, especially now, like they're obviously, the thing, like Disney Plus has really helped out Disney in these hard times. Obviously they're losing a lot of money at their parks and everything. So I think that
poor Disney.
Yeah. Well, it's the people that work there that are
yes, of course,
paying for it.
Of course.
But so with Warner Brothers, I mean, this is an announcement, and they're just like, we have to make this announcement so that it's just a weird idea to try and make their money back from ticket sales through subscriptions now. And I don't think they're going to make as much, because it's not like every person that was going to buy a ticket to each of these movies is now going to get although subscriptions are like monthly though. So I guess if they,
they have to get enough people.
Yeah. Which I mean, they probably will.
With these movies?
I guess like if you buy an HBO Max subscription, I don't know. I guess this kind of makes sense. Like, you're gonna have these people buy so maybe you're taking a group of 4 and you're only getting a quarter of that, for like a family, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's something. Like if they're going to see, but yeah, like if one of these movies is coming out per month, then you're paying your ticket price to go see it through your HBO Max subscription, and you're getting a lot more of the wonderful programming that HBO Max already offers. So I guess that kind of makes sense, and the only reason it's so wild is because when you first hear it, it's so drastic, right?
Yeah.
Everything, all of it is going to be released on there. Like, that's crazy.
And you don't have to pay an extra fee.
It's a huge drop.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean,
that is wild.
I'm into it.
Yep, same. I mean, I think this is I'm predicting Disney Plus is going to be next, and I don't know if Disney Plus is going to be as generous as HBO Max, but I think HBO Max kind of is setting the precedent here, and part of me feels like Disney Plus might have to do a similar thing where they don't release it with an extra charge. Now, if they do release it with an extra charge, I think, well, they're going to get backlash no matter what, but I think they would have to make it so, I mean, they don't have to do anything, but I think it would be in their best interest if they did release it with an extra charge, that with like Mulan, that you would have to, it would only be there for like the first month or two, and then after that you can watch it.
Which is what's happening right now. Like Mulan's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah. So, yes. So I think that's probably what they're going to keep doing. I doubt they'll change that. If they did, that'd be amazing. Or if they lowered the price, that'd be great, because $30 for Mulan, I would not pay $30 to watch Mulan.
But again, that's kind of going like the opposite way. Like that's like all the ticket prices, whereas we said now Warner Brothers is only getting a small portion of their ticket prices.
No, for sure. It's interesting.
Excuse me.
I mean, and yeah, you brought up Christopher Nolan's quote, and I get, like you said, I get from his perspective, like, but it reminds me, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember that David Lynch quote? I think we talked about this years ago. The David Lynch quote where he was like, no one's going to watch movies on their phone, and if they watch a movie on their phone, they're not going to truly experience a movie in 1 trillion years, or something like that. It's a very drastic quote. And he actually, I do remember he says 1 trillion years, because it's like super exaggerated. I don't know. And now he I'm sure he's not thrilled about it, but he had to adapt, and that's just, everyone watches movies on their phones. And
it's just one of those things. And I can't help but feel that there is something lost when you watch a movie on your phone.
sure.
But if you are someone who doesn't feel that way, if you feel like you can get the most out of it by watching it that way, or maybe you just want to watch it casually, then go for it. There's still options for people that don't want to watch it that way.
Exactly.
So, I mean, what's the issue? It's just basically another,
just
outlet.
another, yep.
And for, any company, a revenue source, right? So,
yep. Exactly.
Yeah, no big deal. I don't know.
I think
people like, what are you doing it for? What are you making this stuff for? Right? Just for people's entertainment. You can't tell people like you're being entertained incorrectly by what I've made for you.
Which is exactly how like Christopher Nolan is responding right now, which is
does kind of sound like that.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, he's gonna get over it. Like that's just how it's gonna go. But what we will say, and this is the thing, I am obviously for this, and I'm gonna watch. I just want to say this really quick because you made a good point. Just because I'm for this doesn't mean I'm gonna watch every movie on streaming. Like that's just not how. This is for people that don't want to go to the theater, and that is okay. That is completely fine.
Some of these movies that are frankly potential flops, they might end up making more money than they would have.
Very true. Very true. Like Tom and Jerry.
Like I wouldn't. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like I don't know that I would actually unless we were doing it for the show, that I would go out of my way to go see that in the theater.
Yep.
But now that it's on HBO Max,
I'll probably watch it.
I might check it out. Yeah.
So
it's not. Yep. It's obviously not going to be as good as Scoob, which is Amazon Prime and anywhere you stream iTunes.
You gotta get sponsored.
But it's something.
Yes, and I will say, and this is a great option for I don't know, people like me who don't want to go to or don't want to or just can't go to theaters right now and have to wait till. And I think a lot of people, just in general, can't go to theaters right now and have to wait. And I think this is better. I think this is just better than pushing everything back. And thankfully, the only movie that I do really, really, really want to see in theaters on here, compared to all the other movies, is Dune. And that is slated to come out, obviously, next fall. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go to I can go to a theater and not worry about shit. That is what I want. And that's all I care about. Honestly, every single movie on this list other than Dune, I'm going to stream it. Unless theaters open up earlier than I think they will. Well, open up in our I can go to. Yes.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, the last thing about this I guess we should talk about is Legacy. Is it Legacy? Or no, not Legacy. What's that studio? Lionsgate.
Lionsgate.
Lionsgate is.
Although Legacy is also a studio.
Yeah, I think Lionsgate. I think it was Lionsgate, but maybe it was Legacy. I don't know. One of the studios is suing the studio that Christopher Nolan I don't know.
I think that's Legacy.
Yeah, they are suing Warner Brothers for this, or HBO Max, probably Warner Brothers, and I don't know if that's gonna go anywhere. They're gonna try to get their specific properties that they have some piece of off of this deal. We'll see.
Which I think is going to be hard to do because Warner Brothers is the distributor. Mm-hmm. And they have, what's the word? They have discretion there on how to. So obviously, we've said it a bunch of times. Christopher Nolan in particular not happy about this, but it is what it is. I've got another quote that I want to read from Ann Sarnoff, who's Warner Brothers CEO. Mm-hmm. It says, "We learned from Tenet about people's inclination to visit theaters right now. We were hopeful more people were going to see Tenet in the U.S., but the U.S. is not ready for it.
No.
Hence, the HBO Max plan.
I didn't get to see Tenet. I really wanted to.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want that fucking movie to be released on streaming real bad. I want to see that. That's a movie that I would have loved to see in theaters. And if that movie hadn't come out already, that would also be up there with Dune. But since it already came out, and I don't know, not only did I not hear I heard it's good, but I heard it's not, incredible. So, not only did my hype go down a bit for it since it's come out, but also, it's been so long now, I just want to see it. People have seen it, I want to see it, I want to see it on streaming. And I'm sad to say that if Dune did that, if Dune released in theaters, and right now, and I couldn't go to see it for this long, but also it released on streaming services, I'd watch it. I definitely would have to watch it. Cause I can't wait for that. Not if everyone else is watching it, especially if you got to see it. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. So it's tough. But yeah, we'll see thankfully that's not the case. But we'll see what happens with it. There's some movies on this list that I forgot even exist. The new Matrix movie and the new Mortal Kombat movie. These movies are coming out soon. What the fuck? I haven't heard anything about them. I'm worried about the Matrix. Oh man, I'm worried about some of these movies. But anyway,
I don't know. I tried to, because the first Matrix movie, you have to love it. I love that movie.
It's incredible.
Amazing. I was like, I'll finally watch the rest of them. I couldn't get through even the beginning of the second one.
Oh man, it's crazy.
I know people say a lot of stuff about that you have to read or look into the comics and the other stuff, and then it makes a little more sense. But
it's just
it's just bad. As soon as I saw Jada Pinkett Smith in that leather outfit, and she had some line that was just oh, this movie's gonna suck. I just couldn't get through it. I wish that I could, because like I said, the first Matrix movie, I want to watch it right now. Every time I think about it, I'm like, man, I want to watch. I get it.
Oh, it's so good, dude. Oh, I love Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. How can you not?
Seriously. Anyhow, let's say it'll be cool to see him in that role again. There's no way he's shaving his head and shit though. There's no fucking way. He has too much hair now. His head? Yeah, he can't go back full Neo.
Oh, gotcha.
He's gonna have a beard. He's gonna look like fucking Moses.
Well, he didn't have a beard in Bill and Ted.
You're right. Oh my god.
So I guess he's willing to do it if need be. But
he looks weird without the beard.
You said Moses might be exactly the look that they're gonna go for.
He looks better with a beard. Anyhow.
Yeah, well now he does. Now we all love Keanu Reeves, but the guy does not have a chin anymore.
No.
He just doesn't.
But anyhow, we do have one more bit of movie news. I know we're going on movie news a lot today. This is the last bit. Crazy stuff with the new Spider-Man movie. That's literally what it is. This movie doesn't even have this isn't coming out for 2 more years or some shit.
It doesn't have a title that we know of.
It's just called Spider-Man 3.
It's just being referred to as Spider-Man 3.
Which freaks me out. It freaks me out because I don't want another Spider-Man 3.
No.
Every time I hear it referred to as Spider-Man 3, I literally get a PTSD.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, please stop. So, okay, the first bit of news that I saw, and maybe this isn't in chronological order, but the first bit of news that I saw was that the actor who played Doc Ock,
Alfred Molina,
in Spider-Man 2, yes, the also coveted Spider-Man 2, he is gonna be in Spider-Man 3. And obviously we already know J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. He has returned. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the second Spider-Man, but you should. And along with this, Jamie Foxx, this was a while ago, but he's gonna be in Spider-Man 3 as Electro. Yes. And now apparently news just dropped today that you were telling me about. But what?
Yeah. This is just a rumor, which so people.
Oh, it's not confirmed.
No,
Okay.
it's not confirmed.
Yes, it's not confirmed. Okay.
So people have kind of wanted this and have hoped that something would come about it, but now it's like, an official rumor, which I know doesn't make any sense, but I feel like that's just the world we're living in now. Yep. That Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil in the Netflix series, may also be in Spider-Man 3, which Daredevil that show takes place in the MCU, so this isn't really a multiverse thing. But it still feels like it, because those shows were so different from the MCU movies and stuff. But so with the announcement of Alfred Molina, because when they said Jamie Foxx was going to be in it, and part of this was just like me being in denial, but I was like, okay, this could be something, but it might not be like a huge multiverse thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah,
he's just like, maybe it's not a multiverse thing at all. Yeah. Maybe he's just in it for like a second or whatever, just like to show, like, Doctor Strange be like, there are multiverses out there, and then we see like an Easter egg of him or whatever. But now with this announcement, with the Alfred Molina announcement, it seems like this is going to be a multiverse movie.
Yeah. This is the thing. I remember when we heard about Jamie Foxx, and we talked about it on the show, and I didn't think it was gonna be I don't think I thought it. I can't remember exactly if I thought this, but I don't think I did. I don't think I thought it was gonna be a multiverse. I don't think I said it, that I thought, like, I don't think I thought that. I don't think now I do, but before I don't think I did, and it's interesting because I just thought they were just gonna work him in, and it was gonna be the same universe, and it was gonna be a little weird, but like,
right.
I thought the same thing for originally when I heard about this Doc Ock news. I'm not gonna lie. I also thought that wasn't gonna, like. I literally was talking to my friend, and he's the one who brought up like the multiverse like thing, and I was like, oh duh, like,
yeah,
that's probably like how it's gonna work, because it's fine if this is the thing though, they could easily not do a multiverse thing and just have these characters back, because J. Jonah Jameson's back. I mean, they could easily do that where they just
that's stupid though.
But they did it with J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, but that's different because it's a smaller role, and I mean, he's so great as that character. Not to say that these guys weren't. The whole Jamie Foxx, like that, the version of that character that they just had written in Amazing Spider-Man 2 was just bad.
Yeah,
I don't mean to say Jamie Foxx like portrayed it poorly. I think he portrayed it very well for what it was. It just happened to be shit.
Yeah.
But they could find other people to play a Doc Ock role and an Electro role that would knock it out of the park. Do a great job. And you wouldn't, and you, if anything, you'd want to avoid that connection. The audience.
You think it's too much of a coincidence now that, like,
I don't think. Well, it's not a coincidence at all.
Okay.
Like, they just are
not a coincidence,
without a doubt going to be from. It's going to be a multiverse situation.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I am still a little skeptical about it because it's going to be. I think it's going to be really fucking tough for them to, like, make something like that work. But...
Well, don't forget, you also have Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie.
Oh, and that's coming out
And
first.
WandaVision. Yes, that's all coming out first.
Jesus Christ, you're right.
You're gonna have to have some. Right. So that's So that's gonna be our.
So
it's gonna ease us into it.
It's tough. Yeah, you're right. It's tough because this movie isn't coming out forever, and like we're getting all this news about it. You know what? That probably is gonna be the case. And this is the thing. I have been racking my brain since the movie came out. Since I saw the end of that movie, I have been... Spoiler alert. I actually won't even say what happens. But I've been racking my brain at how Peter Parker is going to get out of this situation. I have literally been like, how the fuck is he... I don't understand. I literally cannot think of how he is even going to be able to get out of this situation. And
Spider-Man, Joe.
And now... it's literally going to be an endgame scenario where he goes, in my opinion, he's going to go back and change things. That's what I think.
You think there's going to be more time travel?
I think that's the only way he can fix what Jake Gyllenhaal's character did. I don't know how he can get out of it. I cannot think of a way for him to get out of that. There's no way that he can just be like, oh, that's my life now. Like, he's on the run. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, all you have to... I mean, you just have to prove his innocence. I'm sure there's a way to do that. Some other camera angle or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, excuse me, because I am going to blow my nose here. Shout out to the people. Be warned.
Bless you.
Sorry. Can't help it.
You're good.
I would if I could.
I would if I could.
But, as far as, people knowing his secret identity... That's happened before in the comics.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
It's going to be tough, I think. That's all.
Maybe Doctor Strange will cast a spell and make everybody forget.
Yeah. Some crazy ex machina. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's going to be very interesting. I think that's going to have to be something that plays into the multiverse. That's just my theory. I think that has to be a reason for him to be seeking something like that out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because I think they're going to mix multiverse and time travel. I think that's what's going to happen. We'll see, though.
I think so.
I do, because they kind of did that with Endgame. They kind of mixed... Because that was technically multiverse, too. Like... Because technically, the way they explained it... Where...
Sure. Alternate timelines and multiverse. Is that the same thing?
I think they explained it as the same thing in that movie, yes. I think Tilda Swinton is exactly...
How they... Yes, I know. I understand how they explained it.
I'm not saying that's how it is in the comics.
You're probably right. You're probably right that that's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. But it's also going to be weird because then... Does that mean that, like, we're going to get other Spider-Mans? That'd be cool. That'd be fucking cool if we got Tobey Maguire back. Ooh.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That'd be insane, dude. There's a note.
They're also saying that Tom Cruise is going to... Well, I mean, I don't even know if that is still around. Cruise is that Tom Cruise is going to play a different Tony Stark. That's awesome.
That'd be nuts. That'd be great. That'd be so good.
I'm sure you've seen like those things that are like, MCU if it was in the 90s or whatever, and they always have Tom Cruise playing Tony Stark, and that's the one that makes the most sense, I think, of any of those.
No, that would be cool. Oh, that'd be crazy, dude. Yeah.
That'd be
so
sick.
We'll see. But
Tom Cruise,
yeah,
still a good actor, man.
Oh, he's got it.
You know what? I was watching Tropic Thunder the other day.
Oh my god, he's the best character in that movie. Well, he's not the best, but he's really good.
There's a lot of great characters.
Yeah, I mean Robert Downey Jr. is probably still the standout, but
yeah.
Tom Cruise is a close second for me. I think it goes Robert Downey Jr., Tom Cruise, and then I mean Ben Stiller should be up there, but there's another character that I'm forgetting that I really
like Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey is great. That movie's insane. That's like the perfect example of a movie that like definitely obviously could never be made today. But it could be. It just would definitely get different reception. I think it's very it's very interesting.
Because the thing about that movie is like all of the like trying to think if there's any thing besides like racist stuff in there.
But
like when the characters say like those jokes and
there's some mental illness stuff in there too.
Right.
That's a little rough.
And you know what? That's so funny though. Like that whole thing is. Listen, I hear you. That's like you can't. But that's like you can't tell me that it's not funny. And also here's the thing about everything in that movie is that like it's a joke not because of what they're saying, but because of again. And I've said something like this before on the show, but like. Because that's the way that those characters think.
Yes,
and that's
of course.
Way that a lot of those people think in real life.
Oh,
right?
no, of course.
That's what's funny.
Exactly.
Look at these terrible people. Not like what they're saying is actually hilarious.
Yes.
I
agree.
So funny.
I definitely think though that there are some like if I just think like some of the wording would I don't know. I think some of the stuff like ages.
I get it, but again, like when people that those characters are somewhat parodying
of course.
Are behind closed doors, that's the way they talk still today.
True.
That's the way a lot of people still talk behind closed doors.
True. So it's it's definitely interesting. I still think it's a great movie, but yeah, it's very strange watching it now. I mean, for me, I think it's still funny, but I think there are some things that it's like, whoa. But I get it. I think that, I mean, obviously I think that's why the movie, I mean, it came out a while ago, but people aren't stupid. Like, if the movie, even though when the movie came out, it definitely like wasn't, there were some things that weren't as I don't even know if taboo's not the right word, but there were some things that weren't as like more of an outrage, right? So but if the movie came out with the intent that you weren't describing, like if the movie came out with the intent of making fun of like those people or like you know, it was a completely different lens, it wouldn't have, there's no way it would have gotten all of that like great attention back then, right? Like I think like it's stupid to believe that like just because of the time it was made means that people who enjoy the movie and especially when it came out are like, you know, like, you know, they're terrible people or or it's like a terrible, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think that's like, it's obvious what the movie's going for. I just think it's definitely interesting with how things have progressed, like watching back. But I also agree with you still that obviously the movie's a great movie in my opinion. And I think that like what it's going for still lands. Like, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So, but I think it's an interesting movie. It's a real interesting movie. There's an interview with Robert Downey Jr. that's really good about that movie. That I saw, and he talked about the movie, and it was pretty cool. But anyway, so let's get it. I think that's it. Oh, one more thing. I know we've been talking about movie news for a fucking hour now. We're gonna get over it right now. This is the last thing. I know we didn't even talk about this before, but I just remembered. Oscar Isaac is going to play Solid Snake in the Metal Gear Solid movie, which is nuts.
I will take your word for it, because I didn't understand a goddamn word you just said.
Do you not know Metal Gear... Okay, Metal Gear Solid is like a very popular video game series. They've had a lot of older games. Like, it's not like a newer game thing, it's like older games, and like they're making some newer games as well. Basically, this dude has an eye patch, and his name is Solid Snake. He has an eye patch. I'm gonna give you the basic rundown. I'm probably gonna... People will be pissed, but whatever. Solid Snake, eye patch, military guy. He infiltrates like these really bad places, like of these companies that are making these like terrible like weapons of mass destruction, and he infiltrates and has to like take those guys down. That's the basic like understanding. And it is a Japanese company that makes the video games, Konami, and it's wild. Like, it's the shit that happens, and it's crazy. So it's a very complicated thing, but it's really great. Anyhow, Oscar Isaac, I think, is going to do a great job as that character. He fucking looks... He looks like, if you look up a picture of, like...
Of Solid Snake.
I just
see a snake statue.
Of Solid Snake and Oscar Isaac, like, you can see it. It's going to be cool. The only thing that worries me is a Sony movie. We've seen how Sony movies go. With Amazing Spider-Man at least. We'll see. We'll see how Morbius does. That's the other thing we didn't even talk about. Morbius is gonna connect the Spider-Man universe. I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore, dude.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of.
So. Anyways, that's the news this week, guys. Obviously, so much. I'm sure we missed something, but that's the main stuff. Yeah, we gotta get into movies. So let's
do it.
Yeah, let's do it. This is gonna be great. Very, very excited to talk about this. Let's just get into it. So the first movie we're doing this week is called Happiest Season. Just came out on Hulu.
I just woke up thinking about going home with you and got very excited about Christmas. I get to go meet the people that made my favorite person.
I'll always take December way over summer.
Abby, you and Harper have a perfect relationship.
She is my person, and I really want everyone to know that. I want to marry her. What are you doing on your phone?
I left a gentleman alone in my apartment, so I'm tracking him to make sure he leaves.
You're tracking him?
Yeah, I track everybody. If the NSA can do it, so can I.
I'm so excited. I can't believe I'm finally going to meet everyone.
There's something that we should talk about.
Hi!
I didn't tell my parents. I'm gay.
So who do they think I am?
This is Harper's orphan friend, Abby.
Yes, of course. They're there.
You're so brave. Oh, you don't need to be.
I cannot believe I've got all my daughters.
So, this movie stars Kristen Stewart, and I should make sure I have all the names. Yes, Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, Alison Brie. We have Aubrey Plaza. We have it's a lot of people. Dan Levy. So it's crazy. It's pretty crazy. And obviously a lot more names. Mary Holland. And it was directed by
Celia Duvall, who co-wrote the movie.
Yes.
Mary Holland, who
I
believe is the same Mary Holland that plays the middle sister.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes. And this is her second film that she second like big film that she's directed. Did she direct? She might have directed. No, she was an actress. Oh, she's also an actress? That's interesting. Anyways, she I guess she's been an actress in a few shows. I'm trying to find the movie there's another movie that she directed, and it's not popping up right away here. Maybe it'll pop up here. Huh.
Yeah, Celia Duvall. She was on Veep.
Yeah. There was another movie that she directed that a lot of people like that was a bigger movie, and now I'm not seeing it, so I don't know. My bad. I thought I had that ready. But yeah, so anyhow, so this movie follows Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis's characters, Abby and Harper. They are lesbians. They are together, and basically they Abby is getting ready to propose to Harper over Christmas, actually on New Year's, and Harper is bringing Abby to her family's house for the first time, but with the one for Christmas. But the one caveat is that Abby doesn't know about until literally like right when they get there. Basically, is that Harper still hasn't come out to her parents or her family, and her family's pretty conservative, and that's the whole. And they kind of just have to try and make it through Christmas, because she's gonna tell them after Christmas, and that's the. So they kind of have to not act like they're together, basically, and hijinks ensue. That's the movie, basically. I don't want to spoil anything. I think, yeah. So, I don't even know where to start with this movie. It's very interesting. I'm very curious how you feel about this movie. I do want to say, I guess I want to talk about, I think the performances in this movie are great.
Yeah, here's the thing I want to say about that. Good jumping off point.
Yeah.
This movie to me felt a lot like quality caliber actors doing the most with typically some pretty stereotypical character types.
Yes,
right?
Like it's a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
I think it's better than a Hallmark movie.
Oh,
but
it's a million times better.
But that's like
a
the
lot
archetype.
of like those character tropes that you would see in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
The mother character.
Mm-hmm.
Even Dan Levy a little bit.
Yeah.
Or
Dan Levy. Yeah.
He's incredible.
Oh God, he's the best.
Yeah, Eugene. Yeah, Dan Levy. So yes, I would definitely say like these are quality actors, like doing the most with what they've got.
Yes.
Which makes it a lot more tolerable.
Yes.
And there's a lot of like subtle things, like you have to love how. There's another great example that I can't remember, but you have to love how Tipper, Mary Steenburgen's character, the mom, is using the iPad to take all the photos, because that's. But stuff like that, kind of made me wonder, like, well, like when was this written? Like some of the lines and some of the things that happened made me feel like this movie was like written in 2015, which I don't think is true.
Yeah.
But I got that sense from it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and while we're just talking about the writing real quick. There was some like back and forth dialogue that just did not. I just didn't like. It just did not feel good. That felt really bland and really like.
Yeah. I think. Yes. So the writing's interesting. I agree. Like I think a lot of it is there's some good parts where it's not very good or it's pretty bland. But then, on the flip side, and I don't even know if I can just give this to the performances themselves. I have to give some credit to the writing, I think, in some of these instances. But there are I think there are some pretty damn funny moments in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
And
I think that a lot of the comedy comes from moments as opposed to what people are saying. However, I think that it's tough.
Yeah, I don't know. There are some moments where I think the writing is pretty like good. I agree with you. There are spots where it's like, bland and it's pretty, just whatever.
Right. And a lot of those scenes I think are scenes that are really in there to further the plot.
Well, yeah, I don't.
But you wish those were a little more enticing, I guess.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's definitely like a downside of like I agree. Like that's like the main downside of the writing. But it's just strange because usually when writing is bad in a movie, it's like all or nothing, in my opinion. In this movie, like, I still enjoyed watching this movie. And I think part of it is because of the writing. Obviously, I think the biggest part of it is the performances, but I also think some of the writing isn't bad. I think some of the writing really nails some of the characters. And I think that's...
Without a doubt.
I think that's the thing. The writing gets the characters right, but the writing just doesn't know how to get from one place to the next. I think that's the issue.
Right. Because here's what I think the thing is. Similar to that, but not exactly the same, is the story of this movie is strong.
Yeah.
The story is really strong.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right that the writer's ideas of who the players are in the story is very clear and makes a lot of sense. But again, it's just some of those
moments from getting from point A to point B.
Like we know, yes, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it like
the second act kind
sense of who these characters are. But it's not necessarily from... It's because... Does this make sense? The characters are well written, but what the characters are saying is not.
See, I agree with you, but only in some scenes, because I think some scenes what they say is fine.
For sure. And I think again, those are scenes that, because those are the scenes where, like, when you're coming up with this idea, you already have the structure of those scenes in your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. So, yeah, so it's a very weird situation, because you don't get that with a lot of movies, I feel like. It's usually all or nothing. And I'll take this alternative, because I at least enjoyed the movie. Like, if I had to take all or nothing, and I couldn't have all, I'd rather have this than nothing, because nothing's bad. Yes. I want to say, too, so just while we're on performances, too, I gotta, like, shout out, I think the big person that's getting a lot of love from this, and it rightfully so, is Dan Levy, because his character is obviously the standout. Like, his character is incredible. Every scene he is in, it's the funniest. It is the funniest shit. Like, I heard about him in this movie, and I was watching the movie, and, you know, there's a portion where he's really not in it that much. And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, is he really only in, like, the first part? Like, is it really, like, like, he was funny in the first part, but he's not really in the movie that much. And then, like, when this whole thing happens, he kind of is in it a little bit more, and it's just incredible. And his character is definitely one of the best written and the best performed.
Yeah, I think he brought a lot to the table with that.
But I do want to say the actress that I think did incredible, and I think is definitely getting, like, some love, but I just gotta shout him out. I think Kristen Stewart does an amazing job in this movie. I think she's my other standout here. She gets a lot of flack for her acting, and I get it. Like, okay, even though I am biased, we've talked about it many times, I like the Twilight movies. Yeah. I know they're bad, but I enjoy watching them. So, from that movie, and I've heard she's good in Charlie's Angels. I haven't seen Charlie's Angels, but I heard she's good in Charlie's Angels. From watching the Twilight movies, and now I'm watching her in this, and I'm not saying it's worth comparing, but, like, I think she's really good in this movie. I don't know. I think she has an amazing performance, and I think she shows, like, a good amount of range with her acting. Like, I think most of the movie shines when we're getting, because obviously we're getting the story mostly through her lens, right? So, if not all through her lens, actually. No, we switched, but it's mainly her. And whenever there's a scene of just Kristen Stewart, or primarily Kristen Stewart, I thought she killed it. I think she did a really good job of showing this complex conflict like that she has like in this film. I think it's a very hard thing to do, and to not overplay it. I don't think she overplayed it at all. I think she did a great job of like visually like really portraying, like, you know, you can tell when like how she's feeling in certain scenarios, and she doesn't have to say a context line. And sometimes she does, but that's because of how the movie's written. But for the most part, you're getting all of her cues and all of her emotions and feelings on something visually. And I think it's because of her acting. I think she's a great fucking actor. I think she shows that in this movie. And I don't know. Maybe she is getting a lot of credit, but I feel like I haven't heard a lot about her performance in this movie, so I wanted to shout that out, because I think she does a great job.
Yeah, might be my favorite performance I've ever seen her in. And I don't know how much Kristen Stewart stuff I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one a lot. I don't know, but I think she played this character perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, and her chemistry with Kenzie Davis was also really good. And I think that they did a great job of showing like why Kristen Stewart's character would stick around for as long as she does. You know what I mean? Because at a certain point, you'd have to be like, why is she doing this? And you do.
I was gonna say.
And you do be like, okay, you gotta get out of here. But because of the way that they play it, I think you can understand why she's so reluctant to leave.
I think for sure, and that is the biggest point of contention with me with this movie, actually. And I gotta be a little careful here because I don't want to spoil anything. But the biggest point of contention for me is I'm very conflicted. I'm very conflicted with how like the kind of, mainly I guess, how the movie ends, or like with the choices that are made, because on one hand, I guess this is minor spoilers. I'm not going to say what happens. I'm just going to say the feeling I had. On one hand, I liked the ending because it made me feel good. It made me feel happy. But on the other hand, it like was a little like my brain is like, why? This doesn't make sense. This is so fucking stupid. Like there is no coming back from the amount of shit that has happened in this movie. And I'm sorry, but we have not seen enough of your... Obviously, we see, like, hints of it, but we have not seen enough of your relationship to make it to make it believable enough for me that this is, like, worth it. Because, and I know you were saying that there is, but I kind of don't think there is. Like, I think the intro scene, like, kind of expects you to be like, this is like them, obviously. This is
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I may have misrepresented what I was meaning before, but I got the point across, I think so.
Okay.
Whatever.
No.
So I agree with you. I would have liked it to end that other way. But I think what makes it okay, what helped me accept it a lot is Dan. I have to say his dad's name so I can say his last name the right way.
Is it Levy?
Eugene Levy. Yeah, Dan Levy. So okay. I have to do that every time to make sure. So
okay.
So what Dan Levy's character says at the end, that makes it okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's only emphasized by the fact that we're getting all of this through Kristen Stewart's eyes, and emphasized by what you're saying, that the majority of their relationship that we see is in this situation, is under these circumstances.
Mm-hmm. And it's tough because it's
but
tough.
That being said, I still loved. I'm gonna be vague, but you'll know what I'm talking about. When Kristen Stewart goes into the house and says that thing at the end, I was like, yeah, I liked that a lot. And then of course the ending happens.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And you know what? I didn't have a problem with that. Because what Dan Levy said, like that was,
of course.
I thought I thought that line was beautiful.
Are you talking about
when they're outside?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one of the best moments. I mean, and this is the thing. I'm gonna say this one last thing, and then we'll move on to the next topic that I want to talk about. But, the last thing I want to say about it is, I see where you're coming from, and I agree with that. It's just, it's also tough for me because, like, I'm still, like, a little conflicted because, like, on the other hand, and I'm not trying to spoil, like, what happens, but, like, the character that is in question right now, she is, like, it's very, like, manipulative and, like, toxic behavior, and this is the thing. I understand, like, this is a movie, and this is a silly movie, and that is the saving grace of it for me. Like, that's the reason why I can be like, okay, like, this isn't real, like, this is obviously supposed to be, like, a lighthearted movie, but, like, it's still, like, I see it, and I'm like, this, it's, like, hard to, like, sometimes it's really hard to, like, not, like, take it that way, I guess. Because, like, I'm, like, seeing this character do these terrible things, and I'm like, this is not redeemable. Like, this is terrible. Like, this is a really bad...
But the whole point that goes into what I was saying before is about understanding the environment that she grew up in.
Yeah, exactly.
And how getting away from that a while has affected her relationship with going back to it, right?
True.
And all that stuff.
So yes. And obviously we're supposed to, I think it's supposed to be pretty conflicting. And obviously, you know, I agree with you. I'm definitely still, like, conflicted on it a little bit. But I see where you're, like, I definitely agree with you. And that's why it's conflicting. Because on one hand, I see this, and on the other hand, I see that. And I'm like, okay, like, I get it. And, like, the ending is the main thing that, like, I'm like, like, as much as I love a happy ending, maybe a little bit too nice of a bow. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm wrong on that, for what the movie is. But, yeah, it's very interesting for sure, the way it goes. But anyways, that's that topic aside. Shoot, what was the next thing? I want to say the directing. I think the directing's really good in this movie. I think that's another thing that really brings this movie. I think that's another thing that brings this movie from being a bad movie, like a Hallmark movie. Like, I think the directing is definitely a huge role in it, and the thing I loved about the directing is I think it's very subtle, and I think the directing is the director makes the directing of this movie look very easy. It looks very, I think she does a great job of making this like making the directing of this movie look easy, but I think there's so much going on, like, and I think there's so many subtle, like, things, like, with the directing that it's just, I don't know, I think it's hard to do a movie like this. This movie has a lot of beats. This movie isn't just your happy holiday movie. This movie honestly, like, has, like, a good amount of, like, sad moments. Like, it's like, goddamn, like, I didn't expect the movie to be, like, as sad as it was in some points. I'm glad it, like, obviously, like, they went that route, but I think it's hard to make a movie like this also be lighthearted and happy. I think it's a very tough subject matter, obviously. So I think she does a really good job directing that.
Yep, I certainly agree. Yeah, I think so. There's just this one moment that keeps coming to mind.
Yeah.
That I just did not enjoy so much.
Oh, I want to know.
It seemed so unnatural, and I couldn't tell if it was a blocking choice or just something that the actor did.
Uh-huh.
And it's when they're in the car on the way to Harper's parents' house,
Uh-huh.
and Harper hasn't said how she hasn't come out to her parents yet, and she's like twirling her hair all like nervously and stuff. It's just so over the top.
Okay. Yeah.
It's messed up. Like that, like I don't know, and I just had to. It bothered me that much, Joe, that I'm bringing it up.
I literally didn't even realize that. Okay. Well,
Oh my god, it's so awful.
that scene is so short too, like that moment where
That moment, I know, it's like not even happening.
it just like popped out to you. Hey, that's fair. That's a good point. I didn't notice that, but
I would certainly say for the most part that yes, the
yeah.
directing is good, especially with like the introduction of, you know, sort of the various characters that show up in this hometown.
Yeah.
And the way that I think certain characters like shot in relation to each other with that, I like that a lot.
I think obviously I mentioned Aubrey Plaza, but I didn't. The one other performance that I didn't mention that I really thought was great was, I think, Mary Holland killed it. Oh
yeah, I like her
my
a lot.
god,
She's been good in a lot of stuff. Again, Veep. She was really good for her stint on Veep. But she's been in a ton of stuff that she's very good in.
Yeah, she was so good. Like,
I thought that I thought it was a little like over the top, but that was also her character. I think like the stuff with her character about like fixing the printers and things like that, that was perfect.
Yeah,
and it made me laugh so hard anytime she talked about her fantasy novel.
Oh my god,
I was like, I love this. I'm all in on this.
Yeah, I agree. This is the thing. When I first saw her character, like the first scene with her character, I was like, oh no. Like, what's this?
But it's also it stands out so much because it's such a juxtaposition between what everybody else. And again, that's the whole point of her character.
Yep.
So
and there's
I'm just talking myself into liking it even more.
She like has these moments where she really breaks some tension. Her and Dan Levy, of course, like they're kind of the points where they break the tension usually, and she has this really good moment. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's at the end, towards the end, when this really big thing goes down, and she has like really not too much to contribute, but she like adds something, funny. And it was great. It was like, oh, that was perfect. Like, so funny. It's just great, and the timing, like she had just great timing. Like it was awesome. So anyhow, there was honestly the one other point. Well, some of the music bothered me in this movie. I guess I'll say that. I mean, some of the music stood out.
I liked the music. I thought I liked it because it was. It felt very different. It felt, It
did feel different, and I didn't mind that. It just, some of it was like so. Some of it was so strange. I don't know. Some of it stood out a little too much to me. I think it's just this one song. This one song like bothered me a little bit. I can't remember if it was in the beginning or the end, but when I heard it, I was like, I don't know. That's a personal thing, but the other big thing I wanted to say, and I think this is my last big point, honestly, is I think it's great. This is like the other big thing for me, and this is another reason why I think I like am more okay with the happy ending that they gave than if it was a different route. This movie obviously has sad beats. It has like pretty dark parts. Like it just does. That's just the subject matter of the movie, and that's just how you can't get around that. It'd be disingenuous to do that. But this, when we have a lot of movies, primarily focusing on gay relationships or focusing on this particular subject matter, you get a lot of depressing films and dark, and that doesn't mean they're bad. I'm not saying that, like, there is obviously a space for for these important but also dark and depressing films, and that are equally, they are important in telling what the story that they're telling, and it's great for those to have their space. But this is one of the first big films that focus on this subject matter that isn't super dark and depressing. And I'm glad it's not too happy and too cheery, because that would be bad. But I think they really do a great job. The director specifically does a great job balancing these two genres or themes, I guess. And I think that's a very hard thing to do, and to make it feel like not disingenuous too. Like, I think it's a very hard thing to do that, because this is an important subject matter, obviously, to a lot of people. So you have to do it right. And I think for the most part, like, I think she did great. So I think the movie does a good job for the most part with that. I think obviously I'm still a little conflicted with some of the writing and how the story goes, but for the most part, I think this was really good step towards having that more, I don't know, more happy or more just a different kind of
Sure. Well, here's the thing, I think, is that as time goes on, finally people will stop seeing like a gay person as a gay person, and just see them as a person. Not that they won't see that, but it won't define them, right?
Yeah.
And this is a step towards, I think, movies where the characters are gay, but that's not the defining characteristic.
Exactly. I completely agree. So I really liked the tone of this movie. That's the word I was looking for. The tone of this movie is a nice change to this kind of what these movies usually are. And it doesn't mean the other ones are bad or anything. It's just this is a nice thing to see, I think. And yeah, it's cool to see. I really think it's cool. And I don't know if this necessarily will be the Christmas classic that I think maybe it was going for, but I am interested to see how this movie ages in a year or two. I'm very interested, because I enjoyed it. I don't know, but I'm curious if I enjoyed it enough that I'd watch it again.
That was my big thing with it as well.
So
I don't know if I would.
Yeah, but I will say, no matter what, I think this is a great start. This is a great jumping off point for, like, a Christmas classic. Like, I think, because, like, I think that's cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I got on it. I think that's all I got on it. Is there anything else you have about it?
Let's do some rating.
Let's do it.
Let's give out some juice boxes.
Give out those juice boxes. I'm gonna give it. Oh man, this is a tough one, because, and after having this discussion with you about it, it definitely helps. Like, my feeling towards it, because it's, I was like a little bit more conflicted. I'm still a little conflicted, but I was definitely a little bit more conflicted before we talked about the big part that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to give this movie, I don't know if this is too high or not. I'm going to give it either, oh my god, I don't want you to say it, because whatever you say is going to influence what I say. Okay. I'm going to say, I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay, I can see it. I'm gonna give it 6 juice boxes.
Oh wow. Okay.
There were just some, again, like I said, I think it did a pretty good job of offsetting those stereotypical elements, be it character tropes, story elements, whatever, but not necessarily enough where, like we just said, that I would watch it again, that it would become a classic. That being said, of course, there are some isolated lines and isolated moments.
Oh my God, there's so
most of
many
the ones that come to mind are from Dan, Levy, obviously.
Yes. I will say, there was one scene, and it's the scene you were talking about. I mean, this movie does do a good. I think this movie does do a good job of juggling all the emotions, and I think it also does a good job. It really does. One scene in particular, I think does a really good job of really like hitting you. Like I think it's like it kind of makes you a little emotional. At least it made me. I was like, it was really powerful. I think there's like this one powerful scene specifically with Dan that we both, you talked about. Really great. It's a standout scene for sure. It's so good. Before we six is I thought you were gonna go a little higher, like 6.5, but I see 6. Like, I think, I see it. I do want to say before we move on, just the one line that like I think is so funny that was in the trailer that I showed. I won't spoil any other lines, but the one line that's in the trailer that I showed that I was laughing at, and I didn't get to tell you about it because we were like waiting to go back and talk about this, but it's the line where he's talking about, it's in the beginning and he's talking about tracking people. And he goes, if the NSA can do it, I can't do, or something like that.
That whole
the funniest.
Oh my God,
scene.
it was so funny,
dude. So fucking. That's one of the.
I almost want to bump up half a point just because of that whole
thing. That bit is so fucking funny. Yeah. Holy shit. But yeah. Anyhow, that's Happiest season. I mean, I would recommend it if you have Hulu.
Yeah.
Watch it. I don't see any reason for you to not watch it. It's interesting. I've been seeing a lot of different scores for this movie. I've seen a lot of different scores for this movie. So I think it's a very a lot of people have different thoughts on it. So I think it's interesting. And I kind of like movies like that. So definitely check it out. So let's move on to the next one, man. This is a crazy one. When you suggested this, I was like, oh yes, like I want you to introduce this one.
This next movie for the throwback, unbelievable, I will say. My brother has referred to this and the subsequent trilogy as the greatest trilogy of all time.
Oh my God.
Which I responded, well, name another Christmas trilogy. And he said, no, I didn't say Christmas. I said trilogy overall. He stands by that to this day. And to his credit, the very first one is spectacular. The Santa Claus, 1994, starring Tim Allen, is an all-time classic.
Hey, Scott, time is up. Let's get over here and check your pulse.
All right.
Okay. Huh. Well, nuts. Oh, no, your pulse is great. Well, I don't know, Scott. You're as healthy as a horse.
Yeah. Clydesdale.
Okay, look, so what? You put on a little weight.
A little weight? Does this look like a little weight to you?
Weight can fluctuate from year to year.
Fluctuate? You make it sound like I'm retaining water. I've gained 45 pounds in a week. Pete, what's happening to me?
What's your diet like?
Milk and cookies.
Really?
But I don't finish all the milk.
Well, then there is your problem. Just try to cut back on the sweets, okay? Anything else?
Yeah. How fast does hair grow? Facial hair.
What?
I shave in the morning, in the afternoon, I look like this.
Well, it could be a hormonal imbalance.
That would explain the mood swings.
Mood swings?
Yeah, look at my hair.
So, sorry, you weren't looking and I couldn't. We're just gonna keep rolling with it. I don't care. We're rolling with it. Go right into it.
So if you haven't seen the Santa Claus, then I think you really ought to. I don't know how people will respond to it, seeing it for the first time. You know, if they're like 25 or something.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine that you'd still love it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting watching it now compared to like when I was a kid.
There are definitely some parts that are like very childish. But here's the thing. The story, I think, is excellent. And here's what it is, just in case you're not familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Allen plays a toy executive who is divorced, and he never really gets to see his son.
Scott Calvin.
However, Scott Calvin. The name, that's not, his son's name
No.
is, his son's name is not Scott Calvin.
No, I just like the name, Scott Calvin.
It is a great name. It adds a lot to the movie.
Yeah, it does.
This particular Christmas, he has custody of his son on Christmas Eve. His son doesn't really want to be there. Scott Calvin kind of doesn't really know what to do with him. So they kind of make the best of what they've got. And then that night, they hear something on the roof. Spoiler alert, it's Santa Claus.
Click, click, click.
And when they go outside to check it, Santa Claus falls off the roof, and Tim Allen, by putting on Santa's coat, becomes the next Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting part is, so after this Christmas Eve, there's this whole year where he's not Santa yet. Like, he's not up at the North Pole training or anything. He's just Scott Calvin, and then he kind of has this year to become Santa Claus.
Mm.
And that's where a lot of this conflict comes in. It's very interesting. His son, is like, yeah, we went to the North Pole, and like, you're Santa Claus now.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, you're a lunatic, and you're turning this child into a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things about this movie. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of the stuff, but
mm-hmm.
there's an emotional center at this movie. It's a story between a father and son, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of this movie is whether or not whether Scott Calvin's going to lose custody of Charlie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moments that are included in the story that are pretty quick moments, but I think the weight of them is certainly felt. I think they do a great job showing that from a directorial standpoint, and probably just the way, I mean, I'm not sure how these scenes were written, but the way that they're shown is perfect. It doesn't take away from the rest of the story. It's not so sad that we can't continue to have fun with some of these other things.
Yeah.
But it adds another element that the movie definitely needed to push it to that next level.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. God, watching this movie now compared to when you're a kid, you definitely miss a lot of things. I think there's a lot of things that go over your head when you're a kid. There's some like decent like adult humor in this movie.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think when you're a kid, you kind of accept, and I'm not saying you don't do this when you're an adult, but it's more jarring when you're an adult watching this. But when you're a kid, I think it's just, you just accept a lot of the bizarre things that happen in this movie. And when I was watching it again, I was like what the like for example, there's two main parts where I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Okay. Like, this is the one part, and this is a throwback of the week, so there's gonna be some spoilers. Watch this movie. So Santa just falls off the roof and dies, and not only does he die, he like just fizzles out of existence. Like, and he's just dead. Like that was a person. If we're going by like how this has gone before with the Santa Claus, that means that he used to be just like Scott Calvin. Yeah. He was a person and he just died. That's like terrible. Like what the fuck? Like it's insane to me like how overlooked it is in the movie, and it's so funny that it is. But it's
obviously
so
I
funny.
think that because of what happens to him when he dies, how he kind of magically like fades into nothing.
Yeah.
That takes away from it a little, because it's not like there's a body there.
No, but he still is dead. He is gone.
Allow me to continue. So we know that this guy has been Santa. We have no idea how long he's been Santa for. This guy could have been Santa for hundreds of years.
You're right.
We have no idea.
You're right.
And so, like, when he dies, when this Santa dies, and the mitten...
He waves? Oh, my God.
I mean, for one thing, you could see it as, like, maybe this guy's been around so long that there's kind of acceptance, right? Like, he understands the magic of Santa Claus at this point, and he knows that this is just kind of the way of things, right? It also could be kind of like thank you and good luck, like, you know, like kill me, like I've been doing this for so long.
It's fucking crazy.
You know?
It's just nuts, man.
But yeah, it's weird that like he was a person. But I think the whole thing about like Scott Calvin is like they kind of want to show that like he doesn't have a whole lot going for him. And, like, he's not leaving his family, and, like, his son's going to be taken care of, and he'll still get to see him and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But, yes, a man does die at the beginning of this movie, and by putting on his clothes, you take his job, which, what a... Man, so imagine if that's how every job works.
Dude, it's so fucking weird. Like,
but the other thing
I never really thought about it too much as a kid.
Yeah. And, again, I think it's because of that he kind of magics away.
Yeah.
There's like an acceptance there.
I agree.
But you have to. The other thing that comes to mind in this movie you have to think about is that this is Tim Allen at the height of his powers. Like Home Improvement, #1 show in America. He's about to release Toy Story, which is going to be the biggest animated movie of all time.
Yep.
This is like. Tim Allen is like a massive star at this point.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what's interesting? This movie was seen as a flop when it came out. And I still think by a good amount of people it's still viewed as like a good bad movie.
Oh, okay. No, those people are nuts. This is just a good movie.
I definitely see, being older now and watching it, I definitely see some of the like some of the like how someone could like see it that way, where it's like a good bad movie. But I still think it's a good movie. I think it's just like really cheesy. I don't think it's like a bad movie. It certainly
has elements that could be perceived that way. Obviously the way Santa dies or whatever. But again, because of the writing and because of the emotional core of this movie, I think that counterbalances any of them.
I think that's fair. I will say I didn't feel the emotional weight that you're talking. I know where you're talking about the emotional weight being there, but maybe as a kid I felt it more, but watching it now I'm like, I don't know, it didn't hit me that hard, I guess.
Really?
But I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just because like I already, I don't know why, but it did not hit me as hard as like it's not like, I don't know, I've seen to put it in perspective, I've seen other throwbacks we have done that, like, there are other throwbacks that we have done that, like, never hit me emotionally. And then I watch them now and I'm, like, tearing up at the end because I'm like, Jesus Christ. Right. Like, what the fuck? But this movie, like, I don't know. It was just, like,
I'm not saying that it's the most emotional thing in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm saying...
It's there.
that it's done very well in the sense of the entire movie and the scope of the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's enough to push it over that point.
I think that's fair. Because, like, you really, like, the whole point is, like, he just wants, he wants to, because, and if you look at it from the beginning of the movie in contrast to the end of the movie, like, that's the big thing. Like, beginning of the movie, you have this guy who, the kid doesn't even want to be there. Like, yeah. And it hurts him. Like, that, you know what? That part did get me. I honestly got more by their relationship in the beginning made me feel more, like, emotional than the end. Because by the end, I was like, okay, yay, happy ending. And I've seen it already, so maybe that's part of it. But the beginning, I forgot how, like, brutal he is. Like, I feel, like, that would suck. Like, I think kids, and this is in real life, too, I think kids sometimes forget, like, I think they sometimes forget that, like, adults, like, have feelings,
sure. Well,
too.
they're little sociopaths. That's just what it means to be a child.
They have, yeah, they have, like, so what happens is, like, they will say anything, and they think the adult's like, oh, he's an adult, he doesn't care. But, like, yeah. I think that scene, like, does a good job of, like, damn, like, that hurts. Like,
yeah, that is tough.
That is very tough.
But I want to talk about that beginning, because the whole, when they go to Denny's, that's so
that's a good scene.
That's so funny. And also,
yeah, that is funny.
I like the shot of when it's the shot of the TV, and then obviously, or, you know,
that was a good shot.
It comes out. I'm just thinking about, like, how many times that had been done before, if any. I can't think of any examples before that.
I can't either, but that was a really good shot. That was a standout shot. Honestly,
yeah, and I think that's something that's, like, been emulated since then.
There's not many standout shots in this movie. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, I don't think it's like the best fucking shot movie or best shot Christmas movie, but yeah. That is a standout shot, and I do think, like, that shot in particular, I think that shot was, what's it called? That was, like, the director's or the cinematographer's, like, this is my dream shot. This is it. Like, that was his whole, like, that was his favorite, like, yeah. But anyways,
when they go to Denny's, just another thing that solidifies what you talked about their relationship at the beginning is when I just love that they go to Denny's, and then the kid is like, "I'll have chocolate milk, please." We're out.
Yeah.
Like, regular milk's fine. Yeah. Like, one, you know, you're like, this fucking kid.
Yeah.
Like, what a little snot.
Yeah.
But also, man, that line always stuck with me for some reason.
That is a funny line. You know what I kind of forgot? I forgot kind of how much, not a whole lot happened. There's a lot that happens in this movie, but I forgot, like, it's not, I think I've, like, thought of this movie, you know what's interesting? I think I, as a kid, enjoyed Santa Claus 2 more, and I really want to do that we gotta talk about that movie one of these days, sure. Because, if I watched it now, I'm sure, like, I'm so curious how it would hold up, but, like, that movie's, like, so iconic. There's so many iconic moments in that movie for me. And, this movie is a lot less, it's entertaining, but there's a lot less, like, Santa Claus going on.
That's what I like about it, though, is that compared to the other ones that do have a lot more fantastical elements, this, for what it is a lot more based in reality. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this movie, that's what I think makes this movie, one of the things that makes this movie stand out so well, is because this is kind of positing the question, like, how would this happen actually?
Yeah. Which it, you know, it obviously doesn't, but yeah, no, I got what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I do like that. I think it is a very, like, fun concept, and I think it's a very, like, cool concept, and I think it's an original concept, honestly. I mean, it is. So,
Very.
It's cool in that aspect. I think that's why it's a classic, honestly.
Yeah.
I will say,
from the writers of Space Jam. Throw that out there.
Oh shit! I didn't know
And
that.
the Will Ferrell movie, Kicking and Screaming, which is also a really good movie.
I have not seen that movie.
Oh, you should watch that. It's funny.
Is that one of his? I'm assuming that's one of his like older ones.
It's from 2005.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. What else I wanted to say? Oh, the other bizarre part of this movie that like threw me off, and I didn't even realize. Like, when I was a kid, I didn't really realize the magnitude of why the police were really chasing Santa Claus.
Right, okay.
And I watched it again now, and I'm like, how did he think it was okay to just fucking kidnap this? He literally kidnaps this kid. Like,
Yeah.
there was no way around it.
No,
He
they're
kidnapped
completely
him.
justified.
They are so justified, and then they like forgive him for it. Like, I mean, he is Santa, but like, I don't know, dude. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
I get that.
It's funny. It's not bad. It's just it's funny, but it's like so really. It's like it's one of those parts in the movie that I'm like, this is like so fucking ridiculous and bizarre.
Well, the other that doesn't exactly segue into this, but you know, speaking of like opposition to Santa Claus in this movie, Neil, gotta talk about Neil.
Oh, I was just gonna say if you didn't bring him up next, I was. Yep.
Before we, you know what, I should say this before I should preface this whole thing before we get into Neil, which is that it makes me. I get so every time I watch this movie, I get so mad at the moment when Charlie's mom, Laura, and Neil, when they are talking about why they stopped believing in Santa Claus.
Oh my god.
And it's because they didn't get exactly what they wanted. I'm gonna knock you out. What kind of... Oh my god, that makes me so mad. Oh, I didn't get my weenie whistle. Okay, I get you're disappointed. But you're like, oh, so he's just not real because he didn't do exactly what I...
That is dumb. That is very dumb.
Oh my god, that makes me so angry.
Dude.
It's just so...
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to believe in Santa Claus. I get that. I get, like, you know, maybe just aging out of it. But, like, just throwing this aside because it's not giving you exactly what you wanted, that's so stupid. And it just makes me mad. Like, how are you even an adult at that point?
I want a soundboard of, like, this whole rant. Like...
Because they're saying, like, when they're describing their feelings at, you know, 3 and 7 or however Laura was, they're not saying them with like, oh man, I was a kid and whatever. They're saying it with like, I'm still angry about it. Like, rightfully so. I was absolutely justified in how angry I was in that. That part always makes me so mad. And that part, like, that just makes me dislike them completely. In that moment, that makes me so angry.
You know what's...
But Neil,
yeah.
So Neil,
yes,
is portrayed perfectly, I think, by Judge Reinhold.
Oh, it's so
everything
good.
with the sweaters is funny.
Oh
and that's just a good example of, again, good writing, having those little gags in there like that.
It is so goddamn funny. He's like, I never thought he was funny when I was a kid, and I watch it now, and I'm like, I think he's so funny now. Because I never got, like, any of the... I just never got any of, like, the jokes, like, really, like, on him that much, I feel like, as a kid. Or maybe I did, and he just didn't stand out to me as much. But, like, I watched this movie, and he was the funny... Every scene with him was, like, fucking hilarious. Like, when he is arguing with Charlie about like the reality of like there's no way Santa could possibly exist. It's one of the funniest scenes in the entire, like, he's like because he gets like genuinely like upset because he's like,
have you ever seen a reindeer fly? Yes. Well, I haven't.
or
and
like
Charlie nails him perfectly with the "Have you ever seen $1 million?"
Yep.
Like, he fucking shuts him right up.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And then there's the part. Obviously, there's the part when Buddy, not Buddy. Jesus fucking
Bernard.
Christ. Bernard the elf shows up, and
yeah, I love that part too.
he's like freak. He's like having a mental breakdown. It's
He's pulling us in his delusions.
It's so fun because like he thinks he knows it all. That's the best part. Is he thinks he knows it all. He's psychiatrist. He knows it all. I love every instance where Tim Allen's character like shuts him up because he's like, oh, there's this line where he's like, this is in the beginning when Charlie's like talking about, he's like, yeah, well, he has you talk about his feelings and charges you for it, or he says something like that.
Right,
it's really funny. I don't know. He doesn't really. It's just all the rags on Neil and Neil.
That dynamic is excellent, and it's maybe the funniest part of the movie.
It is my favorite
in
part
a
of the
lot of
movie, for sure. I think it's the funniest part of the movie, for sure. I'm trying to think of another. The bit that I think grew on me too is like when he's in the park and the kids start lining up and he's like talking to all these kids.
Oh,
that's a bit that definitely
I just love when that first little girl comes up to him and he just like that's in the wide shot. He just moves down the fence.
Yeah.
That's just good. That's just
it's
good.
really fucking funny. It's really good. I think it's interesting how it kind of takes over his life and he doesn't. I always remember him having more control over it when I was a kid. I always remember
turning into Santa Claus.
No, not the physical change, but he emotionally, when he mentally is I am Santa. I always thought that was a little I don't know. I thought it was he had more control over that. But when I watched it again, and he really has no control over it, because obviously his diet changes, he literally that doesn't he has no control
Love
over
that scene. That scene again.
That scene
All
made
these
me
scenes are
uncomfortable.
bangers that
That scene made me uncomfortable.
Oh
my
is
god!
So great
when
and so funny.
when everyone's just watching him finish,
and he's getting the last bit of
I can't. Oh my god, it made me so uncomfortable. I mean, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just I get easily uncomfortable in those kind of scenes.
It's so funny.
Well, because it's the same thing I talked about before, with The Office. It's always those scenes.
I knew you were gonna bring that up. I think it's different.
You think it's different?
Yeah, I think it's different.
I don't. I think it's just the same awkward. It's not the same, but it's it's very similar awkward feeling, and it's yeah. But anyway, so that's great. It's very interesting though. I guess I'll say one more thing that honestly everything else is fine. The effects didn't age super great.
They aged
but
really poorly.
They're it kind of adds to the charm as well. So you gotta love it. The reindeer honestly they were not that bad actually. The reindeer were okay. I actually didn't.
I think the reindeer were animatronic.
Yeah, so that's why I think they worked so well.
Yeah, exactly. So
there we go. The practical effects were good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. The practical effects still hold up.
Yeah.
I think especially for what the movie's trying to be, because the reindeer they don't look like real reindeer. They look like magic reindeer.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
But the. In the wide shots of the sleigh flying and stuff, when they use CGI, the reindeer in particular look really, really bad. And it's not you're up close with them or anything, but even then.
The snow globe was the one that the snow globe shot out to me, and I remember that looking way better when I was a kid. The snow globe shot out to me, and the what was the other part that shot out to me? When his beard changes. Like when he literally shaves it and dyes his hair.
Yeah.
And it changes in like a white, like a fade. It's like, oh man. But what I do want to say, I think this is the last thing because I just remembered. The part that never stuck with me and I never really cared for, and I still honestly don't care for it, like, I don't really care for the third act of this movie. I think it's kind of like whatever. It's not very, like, when, you know, the whole part with, like, the like, where the elf people have to save him, like, and they save Charlie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That part just feels very much kids movie, right?
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's just that part. I never really cared for that. The third act of this movie,
I liked that part a lot when I was a kid. I always thought it was really cool.
Yeah,
but,
maybe when I was a kid I liked it. Yeah. I guess I just didn't. Watching it now, I just
less.
Yeah, now I was watching it, and the third act of this movie was a little bit like just stale for me. I guess. Maybe it's because I kind of knew... This is like the same third act we've seen in a bunch of different movies. It's the same third act as in Nightmare Before Christmas, basically. It's the same third act as... Maybe not the same. It's a very similar third act where people are hunting down Santa Claus. Like, it's like...
Okay.
I don't know. And I just... Like, it's the same third act in Elf. Like, and I actually like it more in Elf. I think Elf does it really well. But... Yeah. Anyhow... I think that's all. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm ready to rate this thing.
Yeah. All I do want to say is, watching this movie made me want to watch the second Santa Claus because I'm so curious how it aged.
Yeah, I bet you it did not age well. The thing about the second Santa Claus,
it's so iconic in my mind.
That part's funny, but I think that the rest of it,
the
introduction of the more fantastical elements and.
I just remember the toy kids. Santa, and the toy
that part I think will hold up because that's very funny. And Tim Allen's performance as the fake Santa, is spectacular. Like that's very funny. But the rest of it,
probably you're right. Yeah. Oh, I remember the kid is angsty. Oh my god, that's so funny. Literally,
that movie opens.
No. Just really quick. It opens with him spray painting the fucking. Oh, it's amazing.
No Christmas.
It's so good. Anyhow, I fucking love. See, I think the second. Okay, where this movie I think is just good and cheesy and it's a classic. The second movie I think is a good bad like movie.
That one I guess I can see it for. Yeah.
Anyhow, let's rate this sucker. What are you gonna give this movie? How many juice boxes?
Well, I think this movie holds up in just about every aspect. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 juice boxes.
Holy shit!
Thing that's taking it. Joe, look, the rewatchability on this thing is off the charts.
I guess.
The only thing that takes away from it is, like you said, it's not the best shot movie, and I don't mean that in ways that are maybe just a product of its time, right? I think that there are instances where they could have just done that a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I see your reasoning for it. This is just not. This is I can agree this is a classic. I can also agree that I don't think this is just not my preferred classic. Like this isn't in the group of classic Christmas movies that I'll watch every year. So with that, even though I think it's still good and it holds up for the most part, I am gonna give it, and it's very ridiculous, but it's great. Like it it's for that. I'm gonna give this movie. Oh man. You're probably going to hate anything I give it at this point, but I'm going to give it...
Okay, well, don't...
I'm going to give it...
Maybe I won't.
Oh, God. I'm going to give this movie 8. 8 juice boxes out of 10. I think this is like a solid 8 for me. I still can agree that it's a classic, just culturally, but for me, it's just not my preferred, classic. It's hard and it sucks. I don't know. It's just so hard for me to watch this movie over, and they're completely different movies. But for me, when I watch a live action Christmas movie, it's always either Elf or Home Alone. Like, that's it. So, like,
Right.
if I'm going to watch, like, I'll still watch the stop motion ones, but when it comes to live action Christmas movies, it's Elf, Home Alone, even Home Alone 2. I'll watch Home Alone 2 over Santa Claus, if I'm being honest. Just because I love Home Alone so much.
I mean, I can understand that.
And that doesn't mean it's bad. I gave it an 8. I think that's a good score, but just not my favorite.
I feel that
to
this
watch.
movie is as good as those movies.
Damn. I do not believe that, but that is... I can see it. I can see it. So, yeah.
In some ways.
Okie dokie. Yeah, I guess that's Film Juice this week. Wow. This is a big boy episode. I mean, we always have these episodes when we take a week off, so it's how it goes, because the movie news stacks.
Do you want to give a little announcement at the end here, Joe?
Yes. So before we wrap things up really quickly, I'm actually gonna pull the date up so I don't.
The 18th.
Yes, Friday the 18th of December. So we are recording this. I'm gonna try to get this episode out as soon as possible. We are recording this on the 9th, so a little over a week. I usually don't like giving that away, but it makes sense to give it away here. So a little over a week, we are gonna have finally the first official Film Juice watch party.
Right. There's been a lot of unofficial ones you've seen out there on the internet. We don't recommend you tune in to those.
Like, yeah, we do not at all. But this is gonna be the real one. It's gonna be great. Honestly, I can't reveal a whole lot of information right here, right now in this episode. The information I can reveal is to follow us on film at film_juice on Instagram. That's the main spot. That is the first spot to go. Over Twitter, go to Instagram. Then go to Twitter, go to at filmjuicepod. That's the second place to go. There is where we are going to have updates. We are going to have official announcements for it. We're going to announce what we're watching. We're going to announce, because we haven't officially decided, and we are also going to announce the time, the specific times, where to watch it. There's going to be a whole lot of places you can watch it. A lot of options. So just
right.
You should have a way to watch it.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to you can write up some directions for some of the folks, Joe.
Oh yeah,
on, ways to watch some of those things.
Oh, of course,
those as well.
Of course, yep, that is definitely what we're gonna do. So yes, very excited. But please follow those if you are interested, and stay tuned on that. Yes, hint. I would look into the program Discord. That is one thing I will say. Everything else, yeah, I think that's it for. I feel like am I forgetting something, or is that it? I think that's it.
That sounds good. December 18th. We'll see you there.
Yeah, we're finally doing it, so that'll be great. After every week of being like, they're coming, it is coming, and another big announcement with it is coming. But like I said, look into Discord. That's all I'll say until we officially make an announcement on the socials. So yeah, okay. Well, that is all there is to it this week for Film Juice. Thanks for listening as always. I'm gonna say it because I love it. Same time, same place. Not really.
That's such an awful.
I'm Joe Dorado. There it is. There is the iconic. There's the iconic.
We'll
I'm
see
Joe
you next
Dorado.
Time at the movies.
Joe Dorado.
That's not the part that is the issue. Is you say we know who you are.